Hey class, it's Dr. Rumsey. I've had a fair number of questions about the academic portfolio, so I thought I'd do a quick video to explain some of what I'm expecting and what it might look like. So here in this quick video, I'm going to go over the assignment again. I'm going to show you a template, which I'll also post on our Brightspace page, and then I'm going to go over one student example from a couple years ago. So that way you have a better sense of what's going on. So obviously I'm assuming you have read the assignment sheet, and I'm not going to reread it to you because that would be silly. But the idea of this is, remember this class is about both reflecting on the past, so looking at your degree and valuing it and reflecting on it, and then also looking to the future. So the academic portfolio is really intended for a look toward the past. Occasionally in a career search or after college, or especially if you go into grad school, you're going to need some academic writing samples. And that's another good reason to put this together. The other thing is that we use these portfolios to assess our program, to understand what are we doing well, what needs to be improved, and that sort of thing. Beyond that, it's really meant for you to take the time to really look at what you've done and come full circle. A lot of times we call that closing the loop, which is a really cheeseball way of saying that we assign all these things, and then if we ask you to reflect on the process, reflect on the finished product at the end, you're sort of closing the loop and you're able then to go forward doing things differently from then on. So you'll notice here that the portfolio contents, there is an overview reflection and an outcome summary. Those are kind of two different short documents. I don't give a page length. Most of the autobiographical reflections tended to be 2 pages, sometimes a little longer, especially if you're single spacing. I mean, I'm not that fussy about it. I'd like to see it be substantive, right? I don't want to see a single paragraph because that will not earn you a good grade. But I want you to actually take the opportunity to really think. So often in classes, we just kind of memorize and we keep pushing, and it's always to get to the next achievement. And it's rare that you're given an opportunity to pause and reflect and really think and value and construct kind of a narrative of where you've been. And this is your opportunity. Okay. The second thing is it's a secondary document. You could make it all one essay with 2 parts. I don't care. It's 1, 2, or A, B. The outcome summary, and that needs to be a statement of what outcomes are you going to be discussing in this document. And so that's where down here at the end of the thing, I'll scroll. I've listed the English department ones, right, that are all here, as well as the teacher certification. There's a few of you in here who aren't English majors or are only English minors, and so what you'll do is you'll look these things up as well. And so what you need to do is to put all of these into some kind of a statement or summary saying, well, I was an English major with a concentration in literature, so here are the outcomes that I need to have met by the time I graduate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's the first 2 things. The next thing is academic works, and this is perhaps in the wrong order, this, academic works, individual learning, and then abstracts. Because really, the abstract should come before each academic work, and the individual learning outcome should become before each academic work. So the idea here is that you are to select however many documents it takes to get to about 50 pages worth of writing. So for some of you, that could be like 4, term papers, right, for various literature classes. Some of you who are in, say you're in the writing concentration, you might have a whole collection of short stories or poems, and you're going to have, 15 documents because every poem is like a page. Right? So for each of the academic works that you select, there needs to be a reason that you select it. Okay? Remember, the whole point of this is to show that you've met the outcomes and to reflect. So suppose, let's see, I took a world literature course when I was only a freshman, and they put me in a junior level class. It was clear from the beginning where I was supposed to be. And I wrote a term paper on Li Qingchao of the Sung Dynasty in China. And I actually went on to present that at an undergraduate research conference. So I would select that paper as one of my artifacts. I would write an abstract, right? What is an abstract? It's a single-spaced, maybe paragraph, maybe 2, but most likely 1 paragraph that describes what the paper is about, right? And then the learning outcome statement, I would go down here and say, okay, so this paper, I wrote critically and precisely and persuasively, right? I communicated knowledge of literary conventions, right? And I researched a lot. So this one would satisfy all of these. Also, because I was a writing concentration, I could say that I could talk about the rhetoric of the piece, how I used it to persuade an audience one way or the other. Okay, so for each of the artifacts that you select, there needs to be a reason that it's there. You need to actually edit the document, spruce it up, go back and look at the comments your professor made on it. If there's something about it you were dissatisfied, go back and fix it. Edit it really carefully because this is the polished work. Suppose you were going to send this on to get a job or to get, most of the time they don't want academic artifacts, but pretend for a minute that they did. What do you want your impression to be? What do you want them to know about you through your writing, right? Is it well edited? Good. So for each one, you're going to have an abstract, you're going to have a discussion of what learning outcomes it meets, and then you're going to have the edited artifact itself. And then you're going to do it again. So suppose you are a literature concentration, remember you'd have 4 roughly papers. And so you would have 4 abstracts, 4 outcome statements, and 4 academic work. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that brings me to the next document, which I've just created. And this is an outline, or a template rather. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay, so obviously academic portfolio template. I am really good at naming things. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want is probably a cover sheet with your name on it. I want you to think about this as a polished thing you're submitting. In the past, I've let students kind of get away with having things be sloppy because you're English majors, you don't think about document design, and I'm not doing that anymore. I'm insisting that you learn, because any job that you get where you are doing some kind of writing is going to care what the document looks like, right? You know what an essay looks like. Well, now you need to know what a portfolio looks like. Okay, so first you're going to have a cover sheet with your name, relevant information, that kind of thing. The next thing is I want a table of contents. Okay, I want you to actually, after you're done, go through and figure out what pages things land on. Okay, so then what I'm calling part 1 is your reflection memo and the discussion of learning outcomes. Just told you what those 2 things are. Okay, part 2 is each of the academic artifacts. Here I've done 4, as if you had 4 papers that met the 50-page requirement, and you might have a cover sheet for each of these, like a divider for chapter, because you know how, think of a novel, how sometimes they have like a divider page that has like a fleur-de-lis on it or something like that, just to give distinction between sections or between chapters. So you're going to have the abstract, the learning outcome, and then the actual artifact itself that's been edited. And each over and over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So that should give you a sense of what order things are to come in. Hopefully I'm giving you more information on what's expected. Let's go look at a student example. And this is from Taylor, and I guarantee Taylor would not mind me showing you her work, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. She was my student right before graduation in 2018, and she was great. I enjoyed her. Okay, so notice here that she has fleur-de-lis, which is apparently the word of the day today. I've said it twice. Some sort of decorative thing. You pick what you want. Make it interesting. Tinker around with document design. This is your chance to really think about what you want things to look like. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to notice, her table of contents. Okay, so here you can see that Taylor has her table of contents. A couple things I want to point out here. She has the items along here, right? And she set hers up the way I'm asking you to set yours up. Okay, she has the overview reflection first, she has this learning outcome second, and then she has each of her documents here. And then over here are the page numbers. Now, what makes this document look good? Later on in the class, we're going to talk a lot more, maybe not a lot more, but we're going to talk about document design and why document design matters. And this is a time when you have what's called good alignment. Okay, so there's a hard left alignment, and then there is a secondary alignment over here, right? It's little things like that that make yours stand out to employers, to other people. It's that, oh, this looks really tidy. You don't know necessarily what's different about it. I mean, I do because I teach it, but an average reader is going to, I mean, if she had the numbers just here all the way along, yeah, it's readable. It just doesn't look quite as professional as having this second alignment along here. Okay, so then if we scroll down, we can see her overview reflection. It changed her intellectually and personally, and then she went on from there. She went ahead and double spaced it, and I'm fine with that. If you are a writing major and are thinking of going into business or technical writing, that kind of thing, I would encourage you to make this a formal memo just because it's good practice to write in memo format, but an essay is also fine. And I believe I think she was literature. Let's find out. So she did kind of a listy list, is what I would call this. That's the official term, listy list. And impressions, and she gives a brief thing that how each outcome meets each. Let's try that again. In this, she shows how different artifacts meet each outcome. So here's the outcome to write critically, and then she gives sort of an overview statement of each one. Here's another one, here's another one, and then, oh, she was a writing concentration. So then she understands the principles of writing and rhetoric, and she pulled from each thing to show. Okay? And then we get into her abstracts. So first impressions, investigating writing center introductions. This was her first artifact. She has an abstract. She went ahead and added keywords, because remember, an abstract and keywords are, if you were to publish this, how would a librarian be able to put you into the system? What words could people search to find your work? That sort of thing, right? And it also, she talked about just the overall purpose of the piece, okay? And then she offers a reflection on the learning outcome, right? And here she writes it down, and actually what's fun is she like highlighted each of the things that she wanted to point out, and then she gets into the work itself, okay? And if we scroll and go really fast, try not to look, you might get seasick. Discussion, we're getting there, we're excited, and here we go. Okay, so here's the second one. She does the same thing, abstract, keywords, reflection. Okay, so that is it for this. So that is it for this lecture. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of what it is I'm expecting. Obviously, you can always ask additional questions over email at rumseys@pfw.edu. Please do ask questions, because I forget who asked me a question about this stuff, and I thought, oh, hey, I should make another video. I want to make sure that I'm connected with you guys and I'm answering your questions as you have them. So stay in touch, and I will see you on the interwebs. Take care.